carefully observe strange clues and ominous patterns in the things going on in the apartments across the way in the game Rear Window. Thank you for joining me here at Tantrum Mouse Studio D. I'm Kevin Delp. Rear Window is a cooperative deduction game for 3 to 5 players centered around the Alfred Hitchcock movie Rear Window. It's published by Funko Games, who sent us this game to review. The game takes about 30 to 40 minutes to play. I'll give you an overview of the game and then share my thoughts. You have 4 boards that have 4 different apartments on each one. The boards represent 4 days. There are tokens with people and characteristics, player screens, and lots of cards. Here's a quick overview. In the game, one player plays as the director, Alfred Hitchcock, and the other players are watchers. Behind their screen, the director knows who is in each apartment and the accompanying characteristics of those people. Each day, the director plays cards onto the day board in the different spots of the apartments, trying to give clues to the watchers of who is in those apartments and what is going on. Players will then guess what they think is happening in those apartments as the watchers. At the end of each round, the director tells the watchers how many pieces of information they got correct, but not which ones are correct. Then you move to the next day and try again. This happens each day until the watchers get all 8 correct, or the end of day 4, and you see how many are correct if less than 8. The director only has 8 cards each round, and there are 8 spots to fill, so you really have to be careful with the limited information available. The director can put up to 2 cards face down, but no more than that. They also have tokens that they can spend to get rid of cards and draw new ones. The watchers have special cards they can play to help them gain clearer information about what may or may not be correct. Like, one of them lets you ask the director if something is correct or not. I really like that the game has these helps, but once used, they can't be used again. You may decide to use them early or wait. It's especially helpful if the watchers are having trouble figuring things out. You can make the game harder by adding in these purple tokens. They aren't descriptions of the people, like the white ones, they are interactions with other people. So it's an action plus another person that the watchers have to guess. I definitely agree that this makes the game a lot more difficult. At the beginning of each game, the watchers get to decide 12 different attributes. Those are the characteristics of the people. Now, you will be adding in a murder token. We'll get to that later in this video. Now, the director then shuffles them and then randomly chooses 4. So right from the beginning, you're questioning which 4 it could be in those apartments. You can definitely increase the difficulty by adding more and more of the purple tokens. But a word of warning, that will add more and more people into the mix too, and can get pretty confusing as the watchers try to figure out who is in which apartment. Also, one other note is that murder token that is also mixed into the face down tokens. So there is a chance that the director pulls that token. Here's what happens if the murder token does happen to be in the game. It becomes a one versus many game without the watchers knowing. The director wins if by the end of day 4, the watchers do not guess the murder and they have at least 6 or 7 spots correct. But the watchers win if they can get 7 or 8 spots correct and they correctly solve where the murder took place. All players lose if fewer than 6 spots are guessed correctly. Now, this hasn't happened yet for my plays, but I think I would find it intriguing if it did, as the director is balancing what information to give the watchers in each day. I've played as both director and watcher multiple times and enjoy both sides of the table. Here's a few critiques of Rear Window. You need a decent sized table to play. The 4 day boards take up a lot of room when all said and done. Another critique has to do with the role of the director. There can be some downtime as the director is choosing which spots to fill with the different cards. I actually found it helpful to start working on the next day as soon as I finished the previous day. It really did help speed the game along. You just have to be careful you don't reveal any information until the right time. I do wish the game was a little bit more thematic. The whole point of the movie in Rear Window is about that murder and trying to solve it, but there is very little chance in the game that a murder will even happen. It hasn't happened yet in any of our plays, and I guess as a director, I could like force it if I wanted to try and be sneaky. I might have to try and do that in a future game. Now, the theme does come through, generally speaking, in trying to figure out who is in each apartment and what's going on. I'm okay with that. I think that part of the gameplay will appeal to a very broad audience. I like the versatility of the cards. Maybe you're trying to give information about a person, so you could put it here, but you have a clue about globetrotting, so this person's carrying suitcases, so you could put it over here. As far as gameplay, it reminds me of a cross between a game like Mysterium and a game like Mastermind. You've got the clue-giving part in like Mysterium, and then you have the deduction part that you would have in a game like Mastermind. The other nice thing about the gameplay is you can have casual gamers playing on the watcher side, sort of like in a team versus team in Codenames. They are involved as much as they want to or as little as they want to. So you're not really relying on a single person like in a turn-by-turn based game. It's also fun for players to play both sides. They could play as a director one game and then as watchers in another game. The cards work pretty well overall for giving clues. There are quite a few of them in the game, and each card has unique art, which I find great. Sometimes you get stuck, but the director has those tokens to spend to get you new cards if needed. There's a lot of variety in the cards with the different characters that are trying to give you different clues, and even the actions that the characters are doing or what's actually in the pictures. That can all be very helpful in the clue giving. Even the names of some of the characters can be a hint to the players. Like one of the characters' names is Miss Hearing Aid, and you could use this card if it was in your hand because the lady is putting her hand up to her ears. I like the art and illustrations in the game. It really harkens back to the 1954 movie Rear Window with Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly. Also for the art and illustrations, this is the rule book. I find it very stylized in that time period, the 1950s time period. Also, this picture is supposedly of the crash, where the main character, that's why he is in a wheelchair for the whole movie. I also like the back of the cards because when they are placed face down on the day board, the blinds actually become closed. So I think that's thematic in the game so you don't know what's going on in the apartment. The components are well made too, and everything fits in the box. Now, I'd recommend this game if you're looking for a more casual game to play at game night. And since it plays pretty fast, you could even play it a couple of times with different people trying out the role of the director, which is really fun. I really enjoyed that part of the game. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below and do my best to answer them. And please tell your friends about Tantrum House. Let's spread the love of board gaming.